So good morning. I'm Dr. Lori Bordenave. I'm the director of the Doctor of Physical Therapy program here at A.T. Still University. And we are so excited to see so many people from all over. It looks like we have people from Hawaii and Iowa and Arkansas and Texas and California. And wow, it's just amazing. So we are so happy to welcome family, friends, and our guests, our most important folks here today, our class of 2022. We are very thankful to have you here to celebrate this important milestone in our students' academic and professional journey. I know that there's parents and grandparents and siblings and spouses and children and friends joining us. And I'm really glad to have you here because I know that without your support, it's quite possible that these students wouldn't be here. And I'm sure that they appreciate your support too, even if they don't say so, maybe as often as they should have, they should. So class of 2022, what a crazy year, huh? Getting to this point in PT is a great accomplishment anytime, any year. But for all of you, it's been an even bigger challenge. Despite the frustrations of online teaching, hearing the phrase, you're muted 40 million times, telling the faculty that they're muted or that something has gone awry with the technology, asynchronous content, modified labs, you really have navigated this past year with grace and sometimes humor, and you made it. And for you as PT students, this white coat symbolizes your transition from the academic portion into the clinical portion of your education. And this is a time when professionalism, along with your clinical skills, becomes paramount as you care for your patients. I am confident that you will soon discover that you are well prepared to be in the clinic. In addition, the skills that you've developed with regard to flexibility, adaptability, and perseverance will serve you well going forward. So at this point, I would like to introduce the president of A.T. Still University, Dr. Phelps. Dr. Phelps.
Wow, great. Thank you, Lori. And it's great to see and hear from everyone. And once again, congratulations, class. I can't imagine a more difficult time to be a student, a faculty, a staff, a program chair, directors. And you have what a lot of folks don't have, right? This experience. Now, what I'm finding is as I go around the country and we start to travel again, that there's a lot of jealousy that you've kind of made it through this, that you're resilient, that you have this experience like no one else has. So as we celebrate today, my congratulations to you. I'll say a few words at the end, but thank you, Dr. Bordenave, for letting me say hello a little early. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Phelps. Now I'd like to introduce the Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Gevitz. Dr. Gevitz?
There we go. Good morning, everyone. In 1918, Reed College in Portland, Oregon, celebrated the first graduation of what were then called reconstruction aides, the prototype of what became physical therapists. As a profession, physical therapy was born out of social and medical crisis. First, the need to provide trained individuals to effectively treat through manipulations the thousands of individuals who contracted polio in 1916, and then thousands more who were maimed and injured during the First and Second World Wars and the military conflicts thereafter. The aging of the population has also spurred recent growth. In the 1950s, there were 39 college-level physical therapy education programs in the United States. By the 1960s, there were 52. And today, in 2021, there are approximately 250 such parent and extension PT programs. From baccalaureate training, entry-level physical therapy programs have progressed to master's degrees and now doctoral level programs. Currently, there are 270,000 physical therapists in the United States, and there is considerable need for more DPTs in the future. It is estimated that by 2026, there will be as many as 300,000 physical therapists in practice, and still there is expected to be a shortage of needed PTs as older practitioners decide to retire. ATSU is committed to educating competent, caring, and compassionate healthcare providers. Our physical therapy program is committed to graduating autonomous practitioners who value lifelong learning and demonstrate expertise in clinical reasoning and critical appraisal of evolving knowledge to provide high-quality services to individuals across the continuum of care and lifespan in a dynamic healthcare system. Today's Whitecoat Ceremony marks an important transition for you on your journey to becoming doctors of physical therapy. We are committed to your continued success. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gevis. We're so happy to have you here with us to celebrate today. Last, I would like to, or last, not last least, but I'd like to introduce the Dean of the Arizona School of Health Sciences, Dr. Ann Lee Birch, who is also a proud physical therapist, and I know always thrilled to join us at this event. Dr. Birch.
Thank you, Dr. Bordenave. And yes, I am. I'm a very proud physical therapist. So congratulations, class of 2022 Doctor of Physical Therapy students, on reaching this significant day and event, the Doctor of Physical Therapy Whitecoat Ceremony. The day is one which marks the time when you literally step up and out, away from the classroom, into the clinic, the healthcare environment, and a community of patients in needs. The next phase of your education is both exciting and challenging, and my hope is that you embrace it with gusto. Transitions can be so liberating as you start something fresh with a renewed sense of purpose. The white coat symbolizes that you are ready and determined to continue to learn within the clinical environment the necessity of respect, compassion, and evidence-based practice that are so central to the physical therapy profession and are hallmarks of our university's mission. I imagine that each of you has a different sort of combination of fear and excitement, depending on your confidence levels and comfort level with adaptability to change. I do know, as Dr. Bordenave has stated, that you are ready, that your faculty has prepared you well for this transition, and that you yourselves this year have put in so much effort and time to attain the knowledge and skills to be successful during the next phase of your graduate education. While you are on your clinical rotations, stay connected to those who encourage you when you are feeling discouraged. Stay balanced, rested, healthy, and reach out to your faculty when you need to. Be the best that you can be each and every day. The spirit and resilience of this Doctor of Physical Therapy class is so tangible, and I join the Doctor of Physical Therapy faculty and Dr. Bordenave in saying, congratulations. We are also very proud of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Birch. So now it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Sharon Dunn. Dr. Dunn is the Dean of the School of Allied Health Professions and Professor of Rehabilitation Scientists at Louisiana State University Health, Shreveport. Dr. Dunn's research interests include conservative clinical approaches to the management of common musculoskeletal conditions and translational research of applied mechanical loading to healing tissue to determine dosing effects, the ultimate functional and biomechanical tissue integrity. Dr. Dunn previously served on the faculty and as program director teaching professional issues, anatomy, biomechanics, and orthopedic PT. Her clinical practice and board specialty is in the area of orthopedics. Throughout her career, Dr. Dunn has been professionally engaged in efforts to promote public policies to enhance the public's access to high-quality health services and excellence in practice delivery. She is currently serving as the president of the American Physical Therapy Association and has significant experience in health policy and collaborative approaches to health delivery. She advocates for a team-based approach and patient-centered management for better health in our communities. I should also mention that Dr. Dunn has a strong connection with ATSU. In 2017, she was our graduation speaker and received an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters from the university. And we are so happy and pleased to have her back again. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Sharon Dunn. Dr. Dunn.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bordenev. And indeed, that was still a fond memory of mine. My mom lives there near Phoenix, so I do get to visit occasionally, but I still don't ever know what time it is in Phoenix because you guys just don't follow that daylight savings time thing. But I'm thrilled to be here with everyone this morning. I see 221 participants with us on this Zoom, and it's amazing. So to Dr. Phelps, Dr. Gevitz, Dr. Birch, Dr. Bordenev, and all of your distinguished faculty and guests, but mostly to our honorees, these DPT students receiving their white coats today, and your family and loved ones. I'm truly privileged to be invited to celebrate with you today. The white coat signifies a public expectation. As you don this symbol, recognize that vulnerable people will share with you their deepest, darkest secrets in the hopes that you will help them. The expectation is that you'll honor that trust with complete confidentiality and earnest effort to fulfill your duty of care. And by virtue of this ceremony, your faculty deems you worthy to be unleashed upon the public, with supervision, of course, at this point in your career. I believe we all recognize through this pandemic that we might have taken many things for granted. And I imagine there are many things we'll take from this pandemic because we found them helpful, even though they were forced upon us. This technology is one example. Though I would love to be there in Arizona with you in person, this technology makes a way for us to celebrate in spite of any remaining restrictions associated with COVID-19. One great thing I learned throughout the pandemic is that our profession of physical therapy has received the legislative and regulatory recognition as an essential healthcare profession. Early on in the pandemic, APTA and our board of directors advised each PT across the country to utilize their professional judgment and the patient's individual risk-benefit analysis for in-person services or not. But no blanket closures were advised for our clinics or our practice in other settings. We've had colleagues on the front lines in critical care and in acute settings dealing directly with the effects of the virus. We've had colleagues serving as emergency triage, protecting patients from unnecessary exposure. We've also broadly introduced telehealth as a viable option for those we serve, along with many other new opportunities across the continuum of care. We are called to make a difference in people's lives, no matter the circumstance. Few people can say that they absolutely love what they get up and go do every day. We are truly blessed to have a profession where we get to make a difference for people every day. So I have a few words to share with you as you embark on your continued academic goals at AT Still through your clinical internships. During this threshold of potential, and I say threshold because it's a beginning, and potential because this is just the start of so many wonderful things that you can do throughout your career. I have 3 observations or points to make. 1, your dreams will come true. 2, real satisfaction in life comes through humbly serving others. And 3, we should never forget nor forsake our roots. So better put, grit, humility, and gratitude will take you further than you could ever imagine. So a few words about grit. It takes hard work and multiple failures for your dreams to come true. As long as you see failure as a learning opportunity and not a finality. Grit is a characteristic of a tenacious and determined individual. It's found to be more important to success than intellect. That should make a few of you feel pretty good. Webster defines grit as firmness of character and an indomitable spirit. There's a TED Talk by Angela Duckworth on grit, and if you've not watched it, it's pretty impressive. She identified the trait while teaching 7th graders in an inner city public school in New York, and her definition of grit is perseverance and passion for long-term goals. You've certainly had to demonstrate that in the last year. It's about rolling up your sleeves to see a job through to completion. It's about having high expectations of yourself, regardless of what others are doing. It's being the go-to person in a clutch, dependable, consistent, and reliable. Pursuing your dream drives your grit quotient. It's what you got that got you to this point. So whatever your dreams are, at this threshold of potential in your life, pursue those dreams with all that you have, and they will come true. Success will take grit, but don't let others rain on your parade regarding your dream. Perhaps that dream was deposited in your spirit because you're the only human on the planet who can pull it off. So a few quotes that I like related to this topic. Attitude more than aptitude will determine your altitude. That's Zig Ziglar. And Ben Franklin said, well done is better than well said. The second point I wanted to make is related to being an humble servant leader. Humility is the quotient that drives this behavior. Your greatest satisfaction in life is in serving others, but your humility must be genuine, and people can see this immediately, not feigned. Confidence and competence are inversely related. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. In other words, those of you who already think you know everything, you're a danger to yourself and a menace to society. Or as Bertrand Russell put it, the fundamental cause of trouble in the world is that the stupid are overconfident while the intelligent are full of doubt. So as you go into your clinical environment, having a little bit of insecurity about your own preparation and skills, that's the best place that you can be, because that knows that you know what you know, but even more importantly, you know what you don't know. That type of humility breeds reflective practice, as one of our colleagues, Gail Jensen, and others have worked to establish as a precursor to clinical excellence. The thought that there must be something better I can do for my patients. As you're driving home from your clinical, you're reflecting on those patients that aren't quite doing well. You're bothered by that, and that drives you to study more and work harder on their behalf, to seek the literature, to seek guidance from mentors. That type of reflection leads to clinical excellence. Humility is knowing that you can't possibly know everything, and then surrounding yourself with others who complement you in the areas of your own gaps. I've learned this throughout my career by both personal experience, but also observation. It might be more comfortable to surround yourself with yes people, but it stunts your growth and stunts the innovation of your team. Humility helps you identify that it's far better to surround yourself with those who readily disagree with you and challenge you. You learn more, the journey is much more interesting, and the product is better when tested and vetted through the fire of criticism and debate. Nothing good comes from decision-making in a vacuum. Abraham Lincoln knew this truth. And if you want to know more about that, read the book Team of Rivals. It's pretty thick, but it's about President Lincoln's deliberate choices to put his political adversaries on his cabinet and how they went on to accomplish the impossible. Humility also allows you to recognize and appreciate criticism as a gift that helps you grow. It's much harder to correct than to ignore behavior and areas for improvement. So as you embark on your career, and in particular, this clinical progress that you're about to start, realize that anyone willing to invest the time and energy in correcting you must see some potential in you. They should be appreciated rather than despised. If you listen and apply their instruction, these people will be your greatest champions if, and I should say when, you ever need additional help in life. You're coachable that way. So a couple of quotes that I love that connect to this point is that excellence that feels it has to be proclaimed by the mere fact of its proclamation admits the doubt of its existence. And that was Cleo May Dungy, Tony Dungy's mom, who he wrote about in one of his books. Another quote is out of Proverbs 27:2. Let someone else praise you, not your own mouth, but an outsider, not your own lips. And then finally, the third point is related to gratitude. This is the end game of humility. You recognize that others have contributed to your success. You're grateful because of that, and you want to honor them with your continued best efforts. So be sure to thank those who have played a part in your success. Many of them are on this call today. Make it specific and personal. One thing I'm grateful for, as we celebrate our 100th year as a profession in this country, I'm grateful for our profession and those who blazed the trail for us to reap the benefits. We have such a legacy of strong leadership in which to be proud, those who created the strong foundation upon which our profession and our organization, the APTA, has been built. As Dr. Gavitz mentioned earlier, and I'm so appreciative of his introduction of who we are as physical therapists, during World War I, we were commissioned as reconstruction aides by the U.S. Army to take care of our wounded warriors and either get them back to battle or back to civilian life. We grew throughout the polio epidemic. The demand for our services exceeded the supply early in the polio epidemic, and our profession responded by expanding training programs and adding providers. We rallied to the call. Much of our theory and technique was developed or evolved during those years. And then we continued to evolve. We gained academic accreditation. In other words, we're able to chart our self-directed destiny through academic autonomy and standard setting for the academic programs that we have. We gained licensure in all 50 states, which assured a public accountability and a public expectation. We have our own licensure boards, and we're self-regulated by Practice Act and colleagues who hold each of us accountable. We have doctoral level education, which is a collaborative practice with the rest of health services, but distinct and professionally mature as well. And we have direct access. The public is able to access our services. Each of these accomplishments were hard fought, taking years in the making, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of those who have gone before us. And here we are, just recovering from a pandemic, with those who survive in need of our services. In some ways, we aren't even aware at this point. Survivorship is in our professional DNA. We were born for times like these. We are survivors, and we serve survivors. So as our organization turns 100, we will have an opportunity to celebrate our past while we look to building an even brighter future. You are a huge part of that. And with that comes an opportunity to take all of these strengths from our first 100 years and turn our attention to the societal need for our services in population health, in contributing solutions to the many social determinants of health, becoming a diverse and inclusive profession that identifies with and reflects the society we most need to serve. There's plenty to do in our next century, but a capable and ready workforce, along with a strong professional organization to lead the way. Our profession has historically placed great emphasis on our art of caring, and I truly believe that will continue to be our value proposition for the century ahead of us. We are unique in how we care. When most healthcare professionals are looking for what's wrong with the patient, we're the first healthcare provider to show up and look for what's right, what's still working, how to optimize movement, problem solving as a teammate to our patients and their families. ABC's anchor Bob Woodruff experienced an IED explosion while he was on assignment in Afghanistan. His wife, Lee, immediately became his caregiver, and she wrote a book called In an Instant. It's a great book for all healthcare providers to read. But she came to an APTA meeting and served as a keynote speaker, and she shared some points about her experience in the hospital, and that the physical therapist was one of the first professions that gave her hope. She said, "Don't stop being purveyors of hope." We're not talking about false hope. We're talking about quality of life. So we snatch the glimmer of hope from the depths of despair, and our profession prioritizes our time around interventions that sustain that hope. We speak of life and quality of life at our time our patients and their families most need to hear it. We're the profession that guts it out with our patients through the peaks and valleys of their most difficult journey. We spend a lot of time with them. It's acutely personal. We laugh and cry with them along the way. That's the art of caring that does not make its way into our documentation, nor is there a CPT code for it. However, it's precisely what sets our profession apart and what's so special about what we get to do every day. Don't ever let a busy schedule or an administrator's productivity demands rob you or your patients of this most intangible but greatest reward of our profession, patient-centered care. We translate that patient-centered value to a tangible outcome, one that gets to quality of life, participation, or even return to life, if you will. Bob Woodruff's surgeons saved his life. His therapist returned him to life. And I'm grateful to be a part of such a caring profession. Finally, I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful that you chose this profession through which to share your gifts and talents with the world. And it's my honor and privilege to welcome you by this Whitecoat Ceremony to this most remarkable profession. Congratulations, and thanks for the honor of being with you today.
So Dr. Dunn, I know you can't hear all of the clapping that's out there in our Zoom environment, but thank you so much for those wonderful, inspiring words. The students would tell you that I'm kind of a nerd and I talk all the time about how much I love being a PT. And whenever I hear you speak, I'm always even more inspired and more grateful for being part of this wonderful profession. So thank you so much for sharing your words today. So before we go any further, we need to acknowledge some other folks that are here with us and have done so much for us for today's ceremony. So first, I'd like to thank the IT department, and in particular, Dean Mag is here with us today, kind of running things from behind the scenes, and we are so grateful to them for doing that. They've also put together a video, and so we're really thankful to them for everything that they have done to make today a wonderful event. I'd like to thank President Belts, Dr. Gevitz, Dean Birch, Vice Dean Salas Provence for being here today and helping us celebrate with our students. I'd like to thank our administrative staff, Tressa Morales, Cassie Reynolds, Missy Johnson, and Miss Erlinda Cisneros Johnson. Really, truly, without their organizational skills, and in particular, Erlinda's organizational skills, I would be lost. So thank you so much. Finally, I'd like to recognize and acknowledge the faculty who are here today. Now, students, you might be scrolling through looking for the faculty, and you might not find them, but they're all here. And they've been here for these past 2 years of your journey. So I just like to acknowledge all of them. Dr. Kayla Black, Dr. Christina Chuka, Professor David Doublestein, Dr. Tracy Ellison, Dr. Jim Ferris is here today, Dr. Deanne Fay, Dr. Sherry Hodges, Dr. Pam Kays, Dr. Jamie Kettle, Dr. Ginny Little, Dr. Corey Manton, Dr. Tara McIsaac, Dr. Carrie Robinson, Dr. Tammy Rowling, Dr. Cecilia Sutter-Glittenberg, and Dr. Tana Wilkinson. I hope you recognize what an amazing group of teachers and physical therapists they are. I am so proud to work with each and every one of them every day. So now it is time for the Whitecoat presentation. And so I'm going to hand it back over to Dean Mag to show the video.
Andrea Algaras. Kristen Zitniowski Arcus. Sydney Azor. Savannah Bakken.
Ryan Ball. Austin Barton.
Abigail Bankson.
Kathleen Brennan.
Emily Byer.
Lucas Carey. Nicholas Sisney.
Marissa Crudell.
Kelsey Crane.
Taylor Davis.
Madison Decker.
Lydia Durnall.
Braddock Ingolstead.
Mackenzie Farnham.
Roxana Garcia Escalante.
Omar Gomez. Dennis Allen Gonzalez.
Cassie Harris Kinnick.
Nathan Henderson.
Sebastian Hicks.
Mark Turetsky.
Edsel Jimenez. Elsa Jones. Lainey Clark. Caitlin Largent.
Josh Layton.
Jacqueline Lee. Blair Liebeck.
Bradley Lester.
Yay!
Adrian Lucero.
Emily Marsky. Kelsey Mazer. Emily Merhavi.
Kaylin Meza.
Amy Morse. Grace Mueller. Arden Murakami. Misha Nakata.
Matt Nelson.
Carmen Nightingale. Jessica Nordstrom.
Mackenzie Payne.
Mitchell Peterson.
Doran Porter.
Emily Romer.
Catherine Russell.
Alyssa Eve Roseanne.
Daniel Schuler.
Tiffany Sherman.
Nathan Suyamatsu.
Melanie Toole. Kendra Lee Underwood. Rachel Underwood. Courtney Van Dam.
Robert Vasquez.
Rachel Vogt.
James Weigel.
Brianna Wilcox.
Congratulations to the class of 2022. I'm Dr. Tracy Ellison, and I invite the class of 2022 to now stand as together we recite the physical therapy oath. As a physical therapist dedicated to providing the highest quality care and services, I solemnly pledge I will respect the rights and dignity of all individuals who seek my services or with whom I work. Act in a compassionate and trustworthy manner in all aspects of my services. Exercise sound professional judgment while abiding by legal and ethical requirements. Demonstrate integrity during interactions with colleagues, other healthcare providers, students, faculty, researchers, the public, and payers for the enhancement of patient care and the advancement of the profession. Enhance my practice through lifelong acquisition and application of knowledge, skills, and professional behavior. Participate in efforts to meet physical therapy and healthcare needs of local, national, and global communities. Again, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Ellison, for leading us in our oath. So now I would like to introduce again Dr. Craig Phelps, the president of AT Still University. Dr. Phelps.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Bornave. Dr. Gevis, Dr. Birch, Dr. Bornave, Dr. Dunn, thank you for your words today. Dr. Dunn, it was great seeing you again and reminding us of all the great things that our physical therapy partners do and will continue to do in welcoming these great young people into their clinical part of their rotation. Also, as Dr. Bornave welcomed and thanked all of our folks that made this possible, IT, CNM, ASHES, PT, staff, and faculty, thank you. And of course, our students and their families and friends, thank you. I love that oath, and I would encourage you when you go into practice to put a copy of that oath in your waiting room, maybe around some of the areas where you treat your patients. So when they read that oath, they're going to say, wow, I want a physical therapist that's going to treat me like that. That would be just a great thing to take along with you. White coats, in addition to kind of having a lot of cool places to put pockets and pins and things like that, as was mentioned earlier, really symbolizes a psychological contract between you and your patients that last a lifetime. Patients will be sharing their most intimate details with you and your healthcare team. Patients will allow their children, spouses, sons and daughters, parents and themselves to be exposed to an inexperienced student in order to educate you for the benefit of humankind. No other profession allows this outside of healthcare. Your priority is to always act in the best interest of your patients, no matter their political beliefs, race, gender, orientation, income, age, education, or status in life. When there's pandemonium about, and there will be, take a pause and ask your team, what is best for our patient? Collectively, you and your team will support the patient with internal and external resources and take care of just about any problem that comes your way. It takes a leader in a white coat, though, to make it happen. For instance, things that we've been part of, and you've been part of some of these and will be, a child hearing her mother's voice for the first time, a lonely grandmother separated from her family and confused, a businessman suffering from back pain, cancer diagnosis in grandmothers and grandfathers, an athlete devastated by a knee injury. These are all things that you're going to be part of, that you're going to hear about, and that your opinion matters. They're examples of the challenges that will make your life rich and rewarding through lifelong relationships and new knowledge feeding your mind and soul. Please keep your original white coat. When its job is done, hang it in your closet or office to remind you of why you chose to dedicate your life to the health and wellness of others. The coat will continue to remind me of your patients, family, and friends who helped you along life's journey, and the patients who took a chance on a student. By the way, you'll probably take it to the dry cleaners and clean it before you hang it up because it'll get a lot of cool use. Also, perhaps place today's program or maybe a hard drive of today's program in that white coat. It has a list of those that you've gone through your education with, your faculty and staff. It'll remind you once again of all the great things that you've accomplished and will accomplish moving forward. Thank you for inviting me to spend a little bit of your day with you. Going back to Dr. Dunn, I can remember on clinical rotations, don't be afraid to ask that mentor. Don't be afraid to ask your clinical educator, what is the one thing that you can tell me that I can do better to become a great physical therapist? Because sometimes at the end of a rotation, things might get moving quickly. You might not get the feedback that you want, but if you'll just take the time and ask your educator the one question, what can I do to become a physical therapist better? What can I do better to become a physical therapist? I think that you'll benefit from continued growth and connect with that educator. Until we meet again in a year or so for graduation, thank you again and Godspeed. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Phelps. We're so happy to have you join us today and to share your thoughts with us. We've had a lot of speakers today talk about where you are in the coming year. And one of the benefits, I guess, of being the host is that I get a moment to share my thoughts with you too. So you are well prepared. Our speakers have talked about that. They've talked about what you need to seek as you move out into this clinical phase. I think that your experience over the past years has prepared you in ways that are unique from classes and students who've gone before you. And perhaps some of those unique skills that you've developed won't become obvious for a few years. I know I've said that to several of you before, but I know that someday when you have a patient or a colleague who's struggling, the compassion you've developed over the past years will shine through. Or when things go awry or there are changes to our clinical practice, and those happen all the time, and everyone is trying to figure out how to move forward, your flexibility and adaptability will allow you to lead the way. And when things get tough and others are thinking about quitting, the grit you've developed and the grit that you have and your perseverance will get you through. Dr. Phelps talked about that white coat and where you might see it or what it might mean for you. And I hope that when you see your white coat, whether it's on your shoulders or hanging on the back of a door or in the closet, maybe buried in the back, you remember that you have the skills to impact patients' lives and to serve those survivors, as Dr. Dunn talked about, and that you have what it takes to make PT the wonderful profession that it is and the transformative profession that it is and will continue to be. So I add my congratulations to all of you and thank everyone for joining us today to help to celebrate the class of 2022. So it's my understanding that IT folks now are going to allow everyone to turn on their mics, and I would love to hear a great big round of applause for the class of 2022.
Nathan!
Congratulations, Robert.